Okay, well, I have a meeting really early in the morning, so I'm not going to be able to do my political take in the morning, so I'm going to do it tonight. And so part of the reason why I've lost a lot of objectivity and started backing Donald Trump is when I started to hear his solutions and when I started to see the way that he was being a wild card and pushing back and not letting our enemies know what's going to happen and the ceasefire in the Middle East. I really became on board with him because I saw, okay, this is working. People are not afraid of Joe Biden, and Hamas and all of these people around the world, Iran, clearly China, are afraid of Donald Trump. So I see the wars stopping. Then I see all this money that we're giving to Ukraine, and I read about all the corruption that's going on with it, and he's going to stop that. But then the question that I really started supporting Donald Trump on is I would see all these people on television, and they were in the aristocratic class. They have college degrees and they're kind of pompous. And they started to talk about these things like the preservation of democracy and all of these things that don't matter in putting food on your table or a roof over your head when there's 20% more people homeless. So I asked myself this question. Would, just rhetorically, would people care more about having $2 a gallon gasoline? Would people care more about lower prices in the grocery stores? Would people care more about reasonable house prices and have some of our, social norms, what politics used to be, kind of infringed upon by somebody who's different? Or would they care, which would they prefer? The way things used to be, where we were worried about all these things like the Constitution and the preservation of democracy. But my opinion is we're at an inflection point where the Democrats became so corrupt, like Gavin Newsom and all of these woke people that were pushing these agendas, and they were clearly corrupt, like Joe Biden giving all these pardons. So we're at an inflection point. So my question is, we need, would you rather have somebody that's different, that kind of pushes the boundaries, but gets your gas to $2 a gallon and in your house price, making it possible to own a house again and decreases inflation, that talks, the way he talks, which is the way that Donald Trump talks, so that the other countries are scared of us. And so those were my choices. And I'm like, yes, I would rather have him, because I can see the wars are stopping, that prices are going to come down, and it's not conventional, but it's going, this is what he had to do. And I see that he's dead right about it. And so that's when I became on board with Donald Trump. And that's my whole thing, is that I'm totally on board with what Donald Trump is doing, being a wild card, pushing back on the autocracies around the world, pushing back on all the corruption in politics. And that's what I see. I mean, at this point, does he need any more money? Does he need that? No. What he wants is to fix this, and then his legacy is cemented in history books forever. So that's just kind of my thing. That's how I became really on board with Donald Trump, and why I totally support what Donald Trump is doing right now, making it matter to you guys, lowering your cost, removing the taxes off your tips, taking the taxes off your overtime, putting food on your table, because we are at an inflection point where we can't worry about all of these philosophical things about democracy. We need to worry about having roofs over our heads and food on our table, because inflation under Joe Biden was 9.1%. And so I am totally on board with President Trump. And then he saved TikTok, and I say thank you, President Trump.